right. This time of year next year is going to be the hype train for Avengers Doomsday, or Doomsday. I've been calling it Doomsday whenever I've been doing a stupid crossover spoof because I love it, alright? I just like doing it. So, let's talk about a few new details about Avengers Doomsday, shall we? So, first off, the fact that it's a, quote, direct sequel to Endgame. I must say, I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing Endgame in the theater again. Yeah, I know everything that's gonna happen. Yeah, the movie's, like, gonna be, like, 7 years old by that time, but who cares? Like, the magic when I saw that movie back in 2019 and everyone cheering in the theater was so awesome. And I bet you people are gonna cheer again, alright? I barely hear people cheer in theaters anymore. I mean, to be fair, Eric, that's basically you being a normal member of society, but when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, I barely heard any cheers. Like, it was opening Saturday, you know? Like, I was the only one cheering for the theater. I was like that meme, woo! 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 Oh, and also I heard a rumor that that same Endgame re-release is going to have a post-credit scene that leads into Doomsday. So, when they say Doomsday is a direct sequel to Endgame, like, do they mean a good chunk of the movie is going to take place after the events of Doomsday? Because I've heard a plot leak that Steve Rogers and him time traveling is going to play a role into the movie. All right, like his willingness to go back in time and go back to Peggy is going to have consequences. Like, that's a big rumor for Doomsday. Or could it just be a marketing strategy to lure people into the movie? I think that's more than likely the case the more I think about it. And, you know, how can it be a direct sequel to Endgame? Because, like, you have Shang-Chi, you have Namor, you have Letitia Wright as the Black Panther because Chadwick Boseman died, and because you basically cannot make this a direct sequel unless if you say you don't need to watch all these movies just to understand these characters. Like, they're gonna do them in a way where, you know, they haven't really been used before. But yeah, that's just my prediction. I kind of hope so because I really hated the Namor and the colonization. And, you know, Shang-Chi is a far cry from who he is in the comics in his own movie, but hey. Another thing I want to talk about is the comedy factor of it all. So, they of course announced the cast for Doomsday about a year ago, and recently they had an event in Italy where they showed off all the teams of Doomsday, and a certain number of people who, let's just say, Marvel listened to for a long time, got upset that there's only 5 women on the cast. Now, in their defense, I mean, I kind of do agree with them on, you know, Storm, what's her name again? Halle Berry, and, maybe Famke Jackson as, Jean Grey. I never really cared for Jean Grey in neither the comics nor the movies. Like, Famke Jackson or Sophia Turner, I just didn't care. That's just my opinion. Maybe I need to rewatch those films again. I did an entire review. Of like every single film Fox made. I don't need to. But yeah, and you want to know what I think the cast of Doomsday is? It's a going back to not giving a shit. Because I didn't notice there was only 5 women in the cast until a bunch of weirdos on Twitter brought it up. I didn't notice that M'Baku, of all people, is the only black guy on the cast. All right. Until one person on Twitter brought it up. Like, more people were mad about not there being enough women than M'Baku being the only black guy. Now, I must say, given the diversity of this cast, quote unquote, I don't fucking care. I don't care about diversity. I roll my eyes whenever people mention it because I don't care about people's skin color. But anyway, in a perfect world, I would have been excited to see Namor, Shang-Chi, and even Falcon, not as Captain America, but as regular Falcon from the comics, like going all the way back to Steve Englehart and Jack Kirby, you know. Oh, and also M'Baku, the man ape or white ape, depending on who you talk to or what you read about, fighting Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom is Marvel's greatest villain, but Nah, a lot of these are just bastardized versions of themselves. All right. So that's very unfortunate. But I'm still gonna go into this movie with a mind, as in, you know, we got the characters the way they are. Maybe I'm gonna love this movie for Doom. I definitely do think Robert Downey Jr. is gonna play Victor. I think he's gonna be Victor Von Doom at this point. I'm sorry, there's just way too much, because they do that whole Tony Stark bullshit, and then they use the excuse. It's like female Silver Surfer. It's like, oh, we did the comics, and it was only in one comic. Admittedly, that's a much, more unique story than female Silver Surfer, like Shella Balls the Silver Surfer, but it's still pretty dumb. I don't want to see all these multiverse variants of Doctor Doom. Don't make it Kang Dynasty, but just retheme it to Doctor Doom. Alright, just have the Avengers, the Fantastic Four from 828, and the Fox X-Men versus Victor Von Doom. That's all I want to see. Maybe take some inspiration from a giant size Fantastic Four #3, where it's Raiden Sue's wedding, and then he takes control of all the villains, including the Human Top. The Human Top is the GOAT, who would later be retconned to Whirlwind. Alright, I have to say it in simple terms because people are idiots, but But yeah, going back to everyone bitching about there's not enough women in the movie. Now, let me tell you something. I don't want shit to be a sausage fest. When I complain about women, quote unquote, okay, I have to say quote unquote, I have to say it like that because there's no other way to say it. I'm filming this unscripted. It's because the women are shit. It's either the women characters are shit, they're just hand-me-down mantles, or they're just gender swaps of characters I like. Alright? Like, or they're just terribly written activist style characters. Or they're just flat out annoying, like Miss Marvel. Like, that's what people like me complain about. I'd be fine if we see Monica Rambeau, because I like Monica Rambeau in the comics fine. She was the most passable part in the Marvels for me, even though she was a cardboard. She was a cardboard cutout in the Marvels, in my opinion. But hey, I'd be down to see her, because I think Monica Rambeau's a fine character in the comics. Not necessarily the MCU. But yeah, I got my point across. So what I really want them to do is, instead of just swapping, alright, and I mean it, like, if you don't have a character in the MCU yet, and you just turn a character that everyone's been waiting for into a female, or you just have, like Loki, for example, it's just a bait and switch. Like, you build up that the show's gonna be about Loki, but no, instead it's about Sylvie, actually. I want them to stop doing that. I want them to go into their handbook, because Marvel has so many female characters that I love, like, that are not just part of teams, but also Moondragon and Tigra. I would love them to do Tigra and Moondragon, but the only problem is, they're sexy. Alright, people working within Marvel and Disney, they don't like sexy. Alright, they could do a beauty subjective thing with Moondragon because she's bald, but no, they would hate her ass anyway. I really want them to start digging, alright? I want them to just look back on characters that are in the comics and not just swap everyone 24/7, because we could have gotten Brother Voodoo, we could have gotten Night Thrasher, but instead we get Black Wonder Man. Alright? I'd be fine with an Asian Namor, because I really hate to use the woke's language, but Namor has always been Asian coded. No, seriously, when I first laid my eyes upon that character when I was like 13, I literally thought, this must be Marvel's first Asian character. And then as I got older, I discovered he's a Vulcan. Yeah, he's Spock. He's Spock. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. And going back to what I was saying, alright, you just need to write female characters better. You don't need to change people. You don't need stupid hand-me-downs. Like, for example, a Hawkeye show. I'm pretty sure everyone's been wanting a Hawkeye show. But instead, Kate Bishop is the main character. Like, that's part of the shit we complain about. But once you realize everyone is always gonna have their own agendas till the end of time, and once you ignore those people, as long as Marvel ignores them, you can ignore those people too, and you will have a much happier life. Alright, you'll have a much happier existence. You don't have to deal with these people anymore. I mean, you don't have to deal with them, period, but, you know, oh, you kind of still have to deal with them because this is what Marvel is doing, and everyone has their own opinions as to how things are run, including the woke era of the MCU, quote unquote. And then I've got so many people calling me a racist and a sexist for, you know, just stupid reasons. You know, I've learned to ignore them over time. Like, the MCU started when I was like 15, so... So yeah, again, once... So of course I'm gonna learn a lot later. Once you, just accept that people are there and there's nothing you can do about it, you know, you're gonna be fine. But also, it is worth criticizing what's going on within the company. But also, you need to not mind what others say. But yeah. Anyway, is there anything else about Doomsday I want to bring up? Oh yeah, the teams and who we have left in this movie. So, for a while now, I was starting to think, okay, the cast, especially that you're seeing on the screen right now, is all the cast that's going to be in this movie. However, when I hear from people like Nerdrotic that they did shot chairs for Deadpool, Wolverine, aka Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, they also shot chairs for Owen Wilson and Ke Huy Quan. I have not seen Loki Season 2 yet. Alright, I do believe... Okay, it makes sense. And plus, they're doing another round of shooting in April, I believe, from what I heard. So they're probably going to add more characters or cameos. And if Steve Rogers is going to be involved with this movie, then they're definitely going to put in Chris Evans at some point. But the reason why they didn't show the chairs at the very start is because, you know, they didn't sign the dotted line yet. And who knows if they were. Now, the only concern I have with the teams is that they do a Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness kind of thing. I really hope they don't, because they are really, eyeing in on a lot of the Fox actors and, like, the marketing. I bet you 100% they're gonna do it a lot once the trailers start coming out. But yeah, fingers crossed they don't give us a Multiverse of Madness short role kind of thing. Like with the Fox characters and with a handful of... Sorry, I burped. With a handful of other characters. But here's something I found interesting. So on the Avengers lineup, Loki. Loki is a part of the Avengers. Now, how is that the case? Because he's in the TVA. Okay, again, I haven't seen Loki Season 2, but I do know he's in the TVA and he's replaced Kang right now. And it kind of makes sense. Like, either if they're not getting Owen Wilson and Ke Huy Quan's characters, then maybe they're gonna retcon it saying Loki survived Infinity War, which was my theory at the time. And some people might say, it's stupid. Me, I love Loki's redemption in the MCU, like in Ragnarok and in Infinity War. Or like, I like that. I like that a lot. Probably because I don't really care for Loki as a character. The women will definitely love Loki. I believe he's definitely going to bring a lot of chicks into this movie. But yeah, so what do you guys think? I personally think Loki being part of the Avengers is like a mishap. Because again, this was an event in Italy. Not, so maybe something got lost in translation, or they were just marketing it a strange way, like the kind of normie marketing. But yeah, who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you all later. Bye.